This book sucks. I'm not an avid reader, so this is literally Bevy's first high fantasy novel, but it's like one of those good bad movies. And no offense, but when the back of the cover claims this, there are some expectations. And I'm not sure if many of the parts I found funny were supposed to be, but regardless, I like the chronicles, so I wanted to show some of the silly and not so silly events in it. Okay, so our main character here is Thomas Covenant, a successful writer, and his hobbies include yelling "Don't touch me!" at people in his vicinity, cursing "bloody hell and damnation" to anything else, just in general, and clenching his fists and being depressed. You see, in the past he has lost 2 of his fingers, his wife left him, took their child with her, and everyone in the town either hates or fears him. Quite the miserable character. And it's all because he's a leper who lives in a society during a time when people still thought leprosy was highly contagious. So he has gaslighted himself into being a hermit because he believes that's the best for everyone else, to not bother them with his problems. And this is the entire premise. Well, not quite. There's one more thing. One day he was out in the town paying his bills, but as he went to the bank, remember this is ye olden times, he noticed that his bills had been paid for the next year in advance. All so he wouldn't need to show his face in the town and scare the people. And on his way home, I shit you not, he gets hit by the fucking isekai truck. Well, a police car, but still. At this point, we are like 3 chapters in and I couldn't believe what I was reading. Going to another world via a traffic accident in my Western literacy, written in 1977? Holy shit. I know it's a cliche these days, but this writer probably had no idea about this phenomena, because there was no internet, and from that point onward, I had no idea where this book would go. So, what does he do next? He
gets told by a voice that he has to stop a bad guy who found some stick and a magic rock from destroying everything, falls off a cliff, hurts his leg, gets healed by a bystander, and as his leprosy also heals, thinks it's all a dream,
and diddles the kid. So far, so generic. But even then, it's her mother, of all the people, that is the one who decides to help him travel to the capital of Revelstone, so he can warn the elders about this alleged bad guy. And he gets away with it, just because they have this oath of peace which prevents them from taking revenge. Oh, and he has the one ring, I mean the white gold ring on his hand that is missing 2 fingers, which makes him eerily similar to an old legend of theirs. So logically he has to be a reincarnation, guys, and he gets off scot-free. And off they go, but every time Thomas has to do anything physically exerting, he has to be either carried or he falls over and over, and all the while yelling and cursing and clenching his fists at anyone he sees. It's kinda funny how unlikable and incapable the main character is while everyone else is so serious. He's like a grumpy old man and these struggles read like a comedic fish out of water story. Skipping ahead, they just so happen to come across a helpful individual, a giant steering his boat upstream with his mind. I know he's supposed to look like this Giga Chad looking dude, but the way he's described doesn't make me imagine him as such. Anyway, he promised to help Thomas get to Revelstone faster than walking, and the angry woman fucks off. Although her plan was to bring Thomas to justice in the capital. Sailing along the long river, Thomas eats the giant's cheese, drinks his booze and falls asleep for a couple of days. This fucking guy. And after waking up, this fucking guy has this great idea of duct taping his ring onto his chest rather than, keeping it on his bloody finger for safety reasons. They arrive and the giant almost dies from overexhaustion. For this guy? Really? Then they were expected by the powerful seer and put behind bars as sus. But eventually, the High Lord Moram comes to check them out. He's a pretty chill guy, even when Thomas keeps yelling "Don't touch me" at his friendly gestures, and he always just responds with "Ah, my friend." After a lore dump, they come to a conclusion that this frail old man with this OP item should lead a small group of infiltrators to Mount Thunder to stop the baddie who stole the Staff of Law, an ancient artifact that basically keeps physics together. Although it's a bit suspicious for the bad guy to invite the heroes to stop his lackey, having no other choice, they set on a journey and stop by 2 other places, the first of which has this actually cool scene where they arrive at a ruined village with a sole survivor. They start by asking what happened, but the victim is muted by magic. They use the same herb that was used on Thomas as a plan to heal the muted victim, but of course Thomas doesn't come up with it. And by the time they succeed in getting answers, it's too late to warn the group since the enemies are still here and they get ambushed. They fight these erstwhile shadow creatures that kinda make me think of those enemies in the Heart of Darkness game. Well, not Thomas. He just watches from the sidelines while his friends fight because he's clueless how to use the ring's magic intentionally. The other place they visit before the big showdown is the plains of Ra, and the people there are called Ra men. I wish I was making this shit up. After that, Thomas lusts over some other underage girl, and I really hope this guy isn't a self-insert at this point. Oh, and there's this one part where he just looks at the moon and starts grinning at it like a madman. Why? I don't know. Once they arrive at the base of the mountain, they go through a couple of mazes while Moram denies the passage of some Arwiles like a proper Gandalf. Then they grovel under some magic words that were blocking their path. Yes. They see the Master Emerald and chuck it into a pit, and on top of the mountain they meet a goblin of sorts, playing around with the Staff of Law, and after stumbling around some more, Covenant finally does something for the first time and makes the mountain erupt. His friends manage to retrieve the staff and get surrounded by lava, but with the mission accomplished and the bad guy defeated, his summoning starts to reverse. He gets sucked back into his own world, still alive, still a leper. He wakes up in a hospital like a couple of hours after the traffic accident and goes home still thinking it was all a dream. Oh yeah, it's one of those it was all a dream kind of situations. This first book kinda had a lot of filler and not that many good parts, but I read it, so you don't have to. And thankfully there are more books to cover, and boy, it only gets better from here.